Gateway Gamers podcast.
Hello, welcome to Gateway Gamers Podcast. My name is Bryan Marble, joined, as always, by the great RP Walsh. How are you, sir?
Doing fantastic, my friend. How are you?
Doing great. Not as fantastic as you, but great. This episode's a little different than our normal game episode. September 30th is National Podcast Day. We have our own holiday. Complete nonsense, but we're just about 75 episodes in. I don't know if you knew that.
Wow.
There's a few that got taken down by Spotify that we need to re-upload. And then there's one completely missing episode, but we have 75 recorded episodes in the bank. So I figured it would be a nice kind of re-welcoming to the show and kind of getting to reintroduce ourselves a bit since it's been a while.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. I mean, no games, no game talk really, no review, but just you and I, intimate.
Love it.
Talking.
Let me get all sexy for you.
Yeah, please. Oh. But just want to talk about just podcasting in general. You actually were podcasting first with your show, previously recorded, which I think you started before the pandemic or during?
Yeah, before the pandemic.
Before the pandemic. And what was your inspiration? Why did you all of a sudden decide to do this?
Right. No, so I got into podcasts from producer Nick. He, we were taking the train together to Temple every other day.
Temple
He was
College.
always
Not
Temple
the Temple. Yeah.
No, not the Temple. We were going to religious service, just Temple University, which is where I went to college. And he was always listening to stuff. And I was like, well, what are you listening to? And he told me about How Did This Get Made, which is a podcast that me and you have a love for as well. And it was just hilarious. So it opened me up, and I was listening like constantly around the clock. Kind of the point where even now I love music, but podcasts are kind of my go-to. So as I started getting more and more into it, and I found another podcast The Ride, and it just kind of shows you what you could do with it. And I said, well, me and my friends like to talk about nerdy stuff. Let's just put some mics in front of us. And so I invested in all the equipment, downloaded the free software. And at the time I was paying SoundCloud. So I was paying yearly to have our episodes hosted, and things are different now. Thankful to Spotify, where they can host for free. And so eventually, after about 3 or 4 months of kind of wearing down my friends, in 2019, previously recorded, launched January or February, and it's slowed down a bit since then. Like, we were kind of putting them out every other week and did it for a very long time. And even was doing during the pandemic, and it was actually great during the pandemic, which is when you joined us. So we started it, and so a year before the pandemic. And when we got into the pandemic, we had just kind of been doing them here and there, like not really on a set schedule, but then we needed stuff to do.
Yeah.
And so it was fun we were doing, now it's so much easier with the Zoom, but when we first started, we were doing like Zencaster and then Zoom instead of just recording on the Zoom, because I don't think we realized it, or what we had, it wasn't a feature or something, or we were just being stupid. Like I was being stupid. And so the Zencaster program was terrible. But it allowed for us to do something every week, to have something to look forward to. And just get on the mic, talk with our friends who we were missing, and, have a couple drinks, talk, and then we would stay on and play games afterwards and stuff like that. And Bryan made his debut during our Indiana Jones rewatch, which was our first rewatch. And it's kind of just taken off ever since. Now we're doing this show as well. And it was just a real passion of mine that I actually saw through and have still been doing. I mean, it's been like, 4 years? I've been doing it for 4 years. And Yeah, it's just been, that's just how it started. It was just a love for the medium, and I found it so much fun. You could do so much stuff with it. You can have so much fun, and you can share your insights. Why not? Everybody's got a podcast now, especially. But when we were kind of first starting up, it was kind of the boom of the podcast. And since I love to talk about movies and TV shows and superheroes. So having a platform where people were kind of forced to listen to my opinion, I don't know, like, or hopefully they wanted to, and they were enjoying my takes, and I was opening up. The goal ultimately is to have somebody learn from you, or there's so many like movies that I've never watched before that I've learned from other podcasts. And so that's kind of like what I wanted to do: share my opinions, share my insights, get people ready for the next Marvel movie to come out, like stuff like that. And that's what we still do over previously recorded. But you are a huge podcast fan as well. And you were on as a guest, and it kind of really, really hit you when we got the Justice League Snyder cut early, right? That's when you were like, I want to have, I think I might want to do this.
Yeah, so I'm kind of the same. Like I'm not huge on music. Like I enjoy music, obviously. Like I'm human. Like I enjoy music, but like it's not my preferred like thing to listen to when I'm driving or like when I'm working. So I've been listening to like talk radio for years. Like Howard Stern, Opie and Anthony, Kid Chris, who was big in Philadelphia. Like I've always enjoyed the more talking shows and medium over music. So the boom of like podcasts was like a godsend for me. Like I think I have a rotation of like 13 different podcasts, like one easily each day. I still listen to like Jim Norton and Sam on Sirius Radio, which is like a spinoff from the Opie and Anthony days. Like
you have Sirius Radio?
No, it's illegal. I have a illegal bootleg, but
cut that.
Yeah, I have Sirius Radio. It's the best. Oh no, I had it for free in my card. I'm like, this is garbage. It's like, why? Like, I don't understand how it still runs when you have an iPod and like a phone anymore.
No idea how it runs at the prices that it is.
I think it's just that generation that still doesn't understand
my grandpa
like, technology and phones. But anyway, so yeah, I've just always loved podcasting. You started yours up. I was a faithful listener, and then you had me on. It really did like spark something, because like I love talking as well. Like I love being creative. I remember I pitched like a bunch of ideas at you for your show. Some hit, some didn't. Some we followed through, some we haven't. But like I just love note taking.
They were some of our best ideas too.
Yeah, I love note taking. Like I love like the Indiana Jones. Like I loved watching behind the scenes and taking notes. And
that episode of Indiana Jones, that whole rewatch is probably the most fun we had doing it. But that first Raiders of the Lost Ark episode is one of my favorite that we've ever done on previously recorded.
That was on my notes, my copious notes.
It was so
I was lit.
It was so it was so goddamn funny. But that kind of, I don't mean to cut you off, but kind of just a tangent to that brought us closer. When you started listening, I was in your ears every Friday, and we would always text about nonsense, but that really brought us closer. We were always talking about the show.
Yeah, for sure. It definitely like made us like best friends, like pretty much. Like we were always friendly, like you said. Like it was just you came with the group and whatever, but then like you and I really like bonded over podcasting and your show, and me being like, hey, you should try this. And sometimes you were like, yeah, because some of the ideas were like, what is he talking about?
The big one, the anime. You want me to do an entire month of May on anime, and I am not an anime.
I want to introduce you to anime.
I like One Punch. I like the live action. Good.
I'll get you to watch My Hero one day.
I got through 12 episodes.
Yeah, but anyway, but yeah, I like the creative aspect of it. I love doing the research. Like I loved kind of doing those things. And then the tail end of pandemic, I think once we were all kind of free to do whatever we wanted, I was like, hey, like we should try to do something. Like I was trying to like pitch it as like a spin-off to previous record it and just be like to have this whole network, and it was even going to be called Previously Reboarded. For
Yeah.
board games. I don't know where Gateway Gamers came from. I think did Megan talk us out of it? Because just because of branding, I don't remember what happened, but
yeah, I think, and then with just our reach, I think you want it to be more of like what we are, because Previously Recorded is a fantastic name. I'm so proud of that name. But it doesn't really say what the show is.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. It was just, and then I was trying to do like beers with board games, but there's already like 30 of those. Not that there's not a board game podcast out there already, but it was just like, Gateway Gamers, kind of introducing you to the world of board games and hopefully the audience as well. And it just kind of sparked from there. Remember, it was going to be like Legos, and it was
no, that was like Preston's idea.
Well, remember, I was just pitching everything because I just want an excuse to get out of the house and away from my wife. Where I was like, we could talk about Legos and beer. I don't care, whatever. Let's just do a podcast.
And that's also how it was born, was because during COVID, like that was like towards the tail end of the height of the pandemic, we were getting together, maybe like once a month. But it was just another excuse to get together. And so it started as we were playing games because I wanted to expand my horizons. My wife hated it because every time you came over, I ended up buying a new board game. But it was
you came over a couple times, like back in the day. We played like Harry Potter Clue, you'd bring over. And then I think I introduced you guys to like, we played Thanos Rising. Yeah, Thanos Rising was kind of the first one.
Shout out to all of my friends that listen. That is like their favorite game.
Yeah, and then like
our friends.
My closet full of games, I remember you just kind of being like, what is this? Like, okay. And then even I think you helped me move. I was just like, all right, all these boxes are my games. So these are the precious commodity I have. And that's just kind of how it was born. It was just like, all right, like let's just get together, play board games. I listened to board game podcasts, so I kind of had an idea of like the format of it, because I try to explain to people and they're like, you play board games during the podcast? I'm like, no, we just go off and play and then come back and talk about it. And like they're like, oh, okay. But
yeah,
I mean, and that was just kind of it. Like it just kind of sparked from there. We tried it out and here we are, what, almost 3 years later, like 2 years.
Holy crap, are you serious?
When did we start? If it was after pandemic?
Your birthday.
It has to be 2.5.
It was 2021. Yeah, April 2021, because I was in my house. Yep.
Yeah, we're 2.5 years then.
Holy crap.
Yep.
That's wild.
Yeah, I mean, we're 75 episodes. If we do 2 episodes a month.
Yeah, so
we've been pretty consistent.
Yeah. Yes, we have.
So that's kind of it. That's how we started. It's just kind of evolved from your podcast, and now we're here, and I still enjoy doing it. I know it's tough for sure. I mean, that's definitely something. We put out questions to the audience through the various platforms, and a lot of them were like generic, just like, what's your top 10 games? I'm not gonna name my top 10 games here. That's an episode coming, because I really need to sit and like soul search. But one of them was just like, what's the hardest part about doing a podcast? And it's the time. It's just kind of getting together, especially for the type of podcast that we have. Like movies, we could do over Zoom all the time, whenever, because you just got to watch the movie.
Yeah, that was the challenge with this show, is finding time in our busy schedules. You know, you're a father, you have a young son. I am just constantly busy, which it's awful. And we need to sit together and play these games, and it's not easy. I mean, we live somewhat close, but that's the difference between this show and Previously Recorded. Where Previously Recorded, we can just hop on a Zoom, no prep work needed. Which if you listen, you'll know.
Sometimes it's here too.
Yeah. That's definitely the hardest part. And real shout out to the people who this is their job, or their very passionate hobby. Because it's a grind. It's not just recording, then it's editing, and it's getting it up there, promoting it, which Bryan does all that legwork. And it's very much appreciated on my end, making my life easier, because all I have to do is truly show up and play the game and talk and share my opinions. Where there was a time where my wife was editing, so I would see her editing and then see just how it's a process. It is.
That was one of the questions. We'll talk about editing for sure. It's it's an interesting part of a podcast for sure.
It's easy.
Yeah.
It's better when our episodes are a little bit shorter and more
when we space it out. I think it's a lot easier. Like if we record this episode today's September 12th, this episode's not going out for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, perfect.
So there's been days where we've recorded, I got to go home and edit.
Yeah,
that's where it stinks because I'm literally listening to something we did earlier.
Yep.
When it's a few weeks out, I forget some of it, so I laugh at our jokes. And I'm like, oh yeah, no.
It's nice.
But like, same day up, it's tough.
Yeah, like previously recorded, a lot of our episodes are like an hour and a half, 2 hours. We've even done longer. Like
you don't edit much over there, though. I listen to some of the things in there.
The one episode we did over Zoom. I just downloaded and posted it. I did not care. I added the sound or the intro, and then I was like, I'm done. Like, we didn't say anything terrible.
That the Godzilla episode? That's my favorite still.
Oh God, that episode's heavily edited. There's hours on the cutting room floor of that episode. If we ever launch a Patreon, that'll be the first thing I release is all the stuff on the cutting room floor of that. But it's so you think, okay, cool. All right. It's 2.5 hour episode or 2 hour episode, hour and a half. You got to listen back. No, it's editing it, which showed double the time. That's usually what it takes. So 45-minute episode is going to take you an hour and a half.
Yeah, for sure.
So
that was one of the questions from Aaron Wood of Aaron Wood Designs, a faithful listener and an awesome artist. You can follow on Instagram. He asked how long does it take usually to edit an episode? And it kind of is. You have to listen to the episode fully.
Yes.
So if it's an hour episode, you have to listen to that episode for an hour and then just cut. I mean, luckily you and I don't have that much we need to cut, really. It's a flub here, flub there, but we've actually gotten really good at not doing that. And then if we do flub, we kind of stop talking and leave like a huge gap. So when you look at the episode through the program, you could see these giant gaps, and I know kind of where to cut and edit. I also know I've gotten really good at my and your I could literally look at them on the wavelength and go, that's an I need to cut. And I leave a lot in, but my favorite is your are like, a gap and then you talk. Mine are blah, 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 blah. Like I go right into talking, so it's hard to edit, but it's just funny how good you get at it.
You do, especially when you know your host. So like for me, Shane on Previously Recorded talks very low no matter what, and then if at all, true. And then Bob can get very loud. So not only while we're recording am I writing the levels, but then in post I have to make the listener's experience as well as possible, and that's tough. Or if there's a really long rant, but there's also a good soundbite in that, you have to kind of edit it to make sense. And I've Frankensteined plenty of sentences over and Previously Recorded, and that's why it's time consuming, but it's not a big deal when you care.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy it. I enjoy the process of editing. Like I just kind of go like, all right, like I'm gonna go to the other room, I'm gonna edit, and I put on my headphones and I just kind of sit, and like I love cutting where I need to cut. I like you zoom in all the way just to see like that minuscule millisecond that you need to cut.
Yep.
And I just enjoy the creative process of like the whole thing. So I really enjoyed kind of taking over from Audra and then producer Nick, who we also had to fire for being an awful editor.
No, it for sure. I've never found that. And because for me, it was always like time constraints under these fake time constraints that we put in our own heads of, the world's not going to end if Previously Recorded doesn't get an episode out every other Friday. But
our listeners are going to drop off. Like, they're done. Just
forget about it. So it was always that. And after 100 episodes, it just, and 100 episodes and days worth of audio. It just it gets not as soothing.
Again, it really depends on how long. Like I think it's just if you record ahead of time at Bankum, it's not as bad. But
no, it's not.
We have to move so quickly sometimes that we don't have that. But like I said, it's now that I'm back in the driver's seat of editing, I actually really enjoy it. I didn't think I would. I was like, I don't know if I want to edit. Like, but now I'm like, oh, okay. Like I put the music here, I go here, this program here, boom, boom, boom. Like I really enjoy kind of doing it. So like I said, I left it up to the audience, ask us a bunch of questions. We got a bunch of the same questions that I don't even feel like reading. One of them from Mike over at Board Games for One. Awesome guy. We've been
Mike's
friendly
great.
with him for a long time.
Mike's great.
But he's an idiot. Asked us if we wear boxers or briefs. He said the world has to know.
Briefs.
Boxer briefs, yeah. There you go, Mike. Yeah. Enjoy it. Do with that information what you will.
Yeah, no, the tight boxers, right? That's boxer briefs.
Yeah, boxer briefs.
Yeah, no, I don't need.
Yeah, I don't wear loose boxers. I don't wear tighty whities. Boxer briefs.
The loose boxers are baffling to me. Yeah, I used to wear them. I used to wear them growing up, and I was like, boxers. And then I grew up, and I was like, what? Yeah. What was I doing? I was wearing basketball shorts as underwear.
Well, there you go, Mike. I'm glad you wasted my time.
How the size?
I love Mike at Board Games for One. If you want a YouTuber to follow that covers board games, Mike at Board Games for One is fantastic. He does some of the most creative, bizarre YouTube videos I've ever seen, and I'm engaged and captivated every time. Like he dresses up, he does the whole thing. The one he did, I don't know what the hell he was doing. He was on a beach and like had like stock footage of him walking around the beach, and then he would talk about a game. Like it was the most bizarre, but I was so engaged the entire time. Like I was like, I wish every review was like this. Just like, oh, I'm on a beach and she left me and it's just I'm lonely, and then there's a game all of a sudden. I'm just like, oh, okay.
That's theming, man. That's theming. We love it.
Yeah, he's awesome at his whatever he's doing over there. I don't know. I don't know what he's doing, but it's amazing. Another one from Aaron Wood at Aaron Wood Designs is, do you feel there's too much FOMO or fear of missing out in the BG community for mediocre games? And I think this is like an interesting question because I know kind of why he's asking this. So a month or two ago, there was a huge, like all of a sudden, everyone was talking about Everdell Far Shore. Okay. Every reviewer, every Instagrammer in the world got a copy of this game, except for us, apparently. Like there was Instagrammers with like 100 followers who got this game for some reason. Yep, and it was like everyone was talking about it. Mm-hmm. I haven't seen anyone talk about that game since. It was just like all of a sudden, everyone was like, hey, check out this great game. Hey, this game's awesome. I don't see anyone play it anymore. No. Like people still play the old Everdell, but not that game. So, and it's also same thing with Lorcana. Like we can kind of equate it to that. So I think FOMO in board gaming especially is hard because people that collect board games, there's something wrong with us. Like we have to like have a game. I have so many games I played once, so many games I'll never play, but like you just get that like, oh, I need that game.
Yep, villainous for me. I need like every one that comes out, and you know how often I play that now? Like never, but they just announced like the Oogie Boogie one. I'm like, I need it because it looks awesome. But it's the collector mentality. You gotta have it. And it's baffling to me to see these people post on like the gamer community, like their board game rooms. Because I always think like you have a great collection, I have a great collection, like I have a nice small collection. These people got walls of and it's just like, holy crap. How do you have time? Like, how often do you play any of these games more than once, if that?
Yeah, and that was a big start of the podcast as well, as kind of purge my collection, which I have done a good amount actually since we've started after buying more. But I kind of purged out ones I don't want. Like it just, and bringing games I feel like I'll play more. Yeah, we talk about it with Funko Pops too. We've seen people with like rooms of fun, anything really. You can collect anything and kind of go overboard. And I hit a point where I go, what am I doing? Like I always kind of like I get crazy for like a minute, and then I always go like, why do I have this? where am I
Yeah.
putting this? Like, what am I doing? So like, I have a decent game collection, but a lot of it gets played now. Like between us, like if, in between recordings, we'll play
Yeah.
Villainous, we'll play this, we'll play that. There's definitely games I've gotten because I've seen other people kind of talking about it and
Yeah.
bought it, and I'm just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I mean, I want to shout out the king of Funko Pops, Preston, our buddy. That's the king of Funko Pops right there.
I don't know, he still sends us Funko Pops. It is tough. I do love those stupid, big
I,
headed, big eyed
yeah,
things, but
that was a big phase for me, and I'm done.
we have all the Potter ones.
I even them, I'm like, I've sold some of them recently, and I'm rereading the books like for the whatever time, and this is when I started to go through that kick, and I'm like, no, I don't need it.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely slowed down, but yeah, same thing with board games. I see other people's collections, and I'm like, wow, it looks really nice. Like it's essentially having like a wall of books. Like looks
Yeah,
just as nice to me, but it's like you like board games, but it is for me. I'm just like, all right, like it's just what do I need this for? You just kind of hit a wall there, so it's kind of the same thing. Like, is there FOMO? I think there is. I think people kind of jump on the hotness. I mean, even BGG has a hotness list, and it's just that game's hot for like a minute.
yeah,
And there's games that do stay. They have staying power because they're great games. And there are games that just kind of come and go. And it is just because people are like, I need this game. It's great. Ah, da, da, da. Everyone's talking about it. Everyone's promoting it. And then it's just like, you'd never see people play it again.
right.
Because of the new hotness comes out.
Right.
So I think there definitely is FOMO in the community. And
I think so.
It's tough.
It's all about what gets hot and what gets recognized. And for us, it's IP stuff. Like that goes a long way with us. Like I'm willing to spend more money on something that I know I'm gonna like, or at least there's a component of it that I know I'll like.
Yeah, we love our Disney, we love our Marvel, DC. Like definitely those IPs definitely jump out to me more.
If you have an awesome box art, or that's an eye catcher for me. So then I'm like, oh, what is this? So it comes down to a couple things, but also I go off of you. Like that's truly like I do.
Yeah. Hey, you want to play this new game? Yeah, what is it? Dice Throne. I need it all. It is funny when I see those games hit for you. I'm just like, got them.
Yeah, you've got my hooks in me.
Yep. Another question is, how did you start in a hobby? For you, it's from me. Yep. I got you all cracked out in a hobby. For me, it started because I was working at an after-school program, and we needed board games for the kids to kind of play after school, and I didn't want Candyland, all the normal boring board games, and I just start looking into like more better games, and I found like Forbidden Island. I found some of these bigger card games, and that's when I found Tom Vassell on YouTube, and that's when I found Will Wheaton had his game night YouTube show.
Yeah, you told me about
and
that.
I think that's what got me, like him playing like Small World with all those people. I was like, what is this game? So Small World's actually like one of the first games I kind of bought hobby wise for myself, and I'm like, they have expansions, like you could buy more for this. Like that was such a novel concept for me that I was like, oh my god, like this is really cool. And then that was kind of it. Like I found a local game store near me in Bucks County. I bought like King of Tokyo. Like it just kind of built from there into the empire that I run now. But
your throne of games.
Yeah, my throne of games. Which leads in one of the next questions. It was, do you own any games from when you first started the hobby? And I do. I pretty much, besides the games I don't like, a lot of the games like King of Tokyo, Smash Up, Small World, DC Deck Builder are all some of my first games, and they still hit the table a lot, which is good. Small World I haven't played in a long time, and I'm really itching to play that one with you because I love that game. But
I would love that.
Yeah, but and I know you own games when you start the hobby. You have all your Villainous,
I do, and
Marvel United.
I had it added to my collection of Monopoly that never got played, and Harry Potter Clue. That was a big for me. I loved Harry Potter Clue. Yeah, my wife's family is big into board games, but more standard, like family type games, not the IP
Dutch Blitz,
stuff.
Dragonology.
Yeah, Dragonology, Sequins. We played Sequins over the weekend, and I really liked that.
Yeah, that's a fun one.
Yeah, stuff like that. Rummy Cube, stuff like that.
I like Roman Cube as well.
Right, it's fun. It's fun
Yeah.
stuff. Fun,
That's why those
simple.
games last though. Those
Yep.
games, they're not there's no FOMO there, and they're not mediocre. They
Yeah.
are evergreen, those games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another question was, what's your favorite like mechanics in a game? Like what do you look for?
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, so mine, I'll kind of give you a minute to think. Mine, we talked about before. I love deck building. Like I really love a good deck builder, but like you and I have talked about a lot. Something that I really love in board games, something that really catches me, is being able to blend different things together. So Funkoverse, Hero Clicks, Smash Up. Like I love taking different types of things and creating like weird teams or like, so those really stand out to me. So like I said, Funkoverse, I love having Darkwing Duck, the Kool-Aid Man, and like Oogie Boogie on a team. Like that is what really stood out for me for that game. And then same thing with Smash Up, taking aliens and dinosaurs and making a deck that like taking these two weird things. But so whenever a game kind of has that, like that really stands out for me. I don't know if that's like a mechanic. It's more like a idea of a game, but I like that. But my favorite like game mechanic has to be like a deck builder of some sorts. Like I like, again, build. It's almost like the same idea of like building and creating something that's me. Because a deck builder, you can create your play style.
Yeah,
with the cards.
Yeah, no, I think probably the same for me. Deck builder is big with me. But I also am just like a standard fan of like the like what Dice Throne and Villainous are built off of, where you have the deck of small, you have a hand of small cards, like 4-5 cards, and then you use them to your advantage. So like it's like a standard deck, I guess. I don't know, but I think deck builder's up there, because when you introduced the Hogwarts battle, that was like, wow, this is awesome. And something now I share with my wife that we love and have beaten. And it's just like the deck building is great. And like the DC deck builder that we played, I love that. I thought that was great. Like that is so, deck building is very cool to me. And so I'd probably say that.
Yeah, deck building for sure. And like I said, kind of mixing and matching whatever that would be. Kind of different characters together. A stupid one, but I thought was funny. What color do you always play when you play a game? Like what's the color you kind of grab?
If it's available, purple. If not, green.
Okay, green's mine. Green always.
Yeah, purple.
Yeah, I was like, I laughed at that one. I was like, what a stupid one, but like it's that is like what color I kind of would grab.
That's funny.
And then finally I just kind of have from at Sarah Connor, which is a real person, not the Terminator character. It was just basically, how did you start your podcast? We talked about that. Why did you? Kind of went over it. And then what are some of the challenges? And then do we enjoy doing it still? Like how do we feel? Like, how's it worded? Is it going as well as you anticipate it?
No,
or not going as well as you anticipate it? Like,
no, we hate doing this. We just, if we do it for our followers. No, it's great. It's an opportunity to see my friend, whether in person, over Zoom, amidst the challenges of life. It's just, it's fun. Sometimes, and we do a good job for the most part. There's always going to be, it's going to feel like work at times but then when we get going, it's not. And that's if you listen to any podcast from any people, they will say the same exact thing, because you kind of have to be on. Like you have to be on. You have to be ready. You have to make time for it and everything like that. But once it's going, it's great. And I always am super proud of the product we put out. I think it's always a good episode. I think there's always something in there to make somebody laugh, or teach them something. And I think that is something I'm very proud of. And I think it's great. And I think our audience is great. I think our following is great. It's more than I would have ever hoped for.
Yeah, for sure. I think the feedback we've gotten is like, I don't know, it's like breathtaking almost. Like truly, like whenever we get like legit feedback, it truly like hits me in a certain way, because it's like, wow, like,
People care.
this is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, let's be honest, this is stupid. Like, we're just two grown men talking about board game, making ourselves laugh. Like, half the times, like, there's definitely been stuff where I'm like, I don't even care if anyone's laughing. Like, if I can make RP laugh, that's all I care about. But people listen, and then we get like random people reach out Facebook, just be like, hey, I found you guys through Marvel United episode, and I went back and listened. I think it's just so weird. And I always send it to you, and I'm like, this is crazy that like it's we have like such, and then we're not like huge. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend that we're like this giant podcast, but I am so proud of like the tight knit audience that we have. Like, we legit have people that reach out like weekly almost, and just like, hey, good episode, blah blah blah. Or like I said, Mike over at Board Games for One has legit been listening forever. Like, I think he just kind of found us. I feel like he's my friend. Like, I legit, like, even though we're only on Instagram, we only communicate from there, like, I feel like a kinship with him. I feel friendly, and he talks to me. And then if we ever meet at like PAX United or whatever, PAX Unplugged in December, like, it's gonna be surreal.
Yeah, it's
kind of meeting these people that have been so kind to us, and
they have. It's a very
spent hours with us, days listening to us. Like, it's just it's so weird.
It's a great community to be a part of. But also, when you have a medium like this, and then like Mike's got his YouTube videos, you feel like you get to know these people. So, and then you guys are communicating on top of that. So it's great, man. It's awesome. It's a lot of fun, and that's really cool to hear. And it does mean a lot. I mean, look at our show. Our show's changed. We've changed our format because we've gotten feedback. And
we definitely dropped some stuff. We picked some stuff up. Like, it's just it's interesting. We're kind of evolving, and and I can look back. I was trying to think today. I was like, is there any episodes like where I'm like, oh, that one's not too great? And I think the only one,
I'm curious of what you're going to say, because I have one in my head.
The only one where I like was almost tempted to take it down because of how stupid it is our like April Fool's episode.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Because we went into that with zero plan.
Yep.
Like, it was just like,
let's said, hey, let's hop on. And I said, oh, okay.
Let's just hop on, pretend we're talking about this game, and then just talk about nonsense. And if you listen to that, because like I feel like I listened to it recently, because I was like, I don't remember this episode. You and I are so stilted because we don't know what's going on. Like, we don't make like just some more behind the scenes. We don't do like scripts. Like, we don't really have like an idea. Like, we have like a basic idea. Like, we're just gonna talk about this. But like that episode, we had no idea. Like, we could barely feed off each other. Like, it was just like, hey, did you ever hear about the Sunny in Philadelphia game they're making? I'm like, no, tell me about it. And then you're just like talking, and I'm like, I can't yes ends because I don't know what's going on.
Pastebot Pete.
Yeah, the Pastebot Pete villainous expansion, which still might happen. Yeah, but I think that episode is the only one that like makes me uncomfortable. Other than that, like, I am, like you said, so proud of every episode. I think there's at least one moment in every episode that if I were to listen makes me laugh, because sometimes when I edit these, there's things I forget, and I'll legit laugh out loud. But that one, I don't think there's any redeeming qualities to that episode.
Well, it's such a an in the moment thing too. So like, if you didn't listen after that like first week it was out, it's all like, what the hell is?
Well, it only spawned because it was like, hey, Friday's April Fool's. We should do like a goofy episode. What do you want to do? I don't know. All right, let's hop on.
But like,
what were you thinking?
Truly Fun Fair, but that was just because
Fun
that has nothing to do with the episode itself. It's what the board game did to me. And I was just exhausted after playing that game.
Yeah, Fun Fair is a weird one. That's an odd episode because like, I don't know what happened. That game just kind of drained us. And we like, that's one of those games where like we try to be nice, but there was just something in the air.
They reached
out to us, so we're kind of like upset. Like,
oh really?
Yeah. So that's another thing. Like, we some more like behind the scenes stuff, we do get like review copies of some games. So it is interesting because it's hard to be mean. Like, I'm a very naturally mean person.
Yes, you are.
But it's hard to be like, oh, they gifted us this game, they're trusting us. But
it's not mean, Brian. You're not being mean.
If we get a game,
honest.
We have talked down about it. I'm not going to sit here and say if we get a game, I'm going to glow on it, but I will try to highlight what is good about it. There's a few games we've never recorded.
Yeah.
Because I don't even want to trash this game as bad as I want to.
Right. And you're honest with them too. You say I can't guarantee an episode, but
yeah,
you usually end up like shouting them out on the Instagram.
Yeah, there's a few we've gotten over the years where I'm just like, or people reach out and I'm like, no, I'm not doing your game.
Yeah,
I'm good, thanks. Like, not that we're like big. Oh, we're too big. There's just some games where I'm like, this is not for our audience.
Yeah,
like it's just not going to work. I don't enjoy this game. It doesn't look for me. And I try to be honest, but like, yeah, Funfair is weird. And like we did the episode, we didn't like even trash them, but they reached out and like kind of blamed us for what wasn't working. Like some of the things we said were just like, oh, this, and they're like, well, you weren't playing right.
Really?
Yeah. I gotta see if I got the message still. And I was very like taken aback. I was like, first off, I bought this game.
Yeah.
You need to send us a copy. I'm not like, I don't owe you anything. First, like, no. And it's just like, what do you mean we played it wrong? We followed your rule book. It's just
awesome concept.
Yeah.
Bad execution. And maybe we have to revisit or something. But I was like,
I don't have it anymore, so we can't.
Oh, great.
That's a purge. But
we don't need to.
Yeah, that was the only instance of anyone kind of like, and they weren't like mad, but it was a very weird vibe where I was just like, oh, this is interesting. Like this is very interesting because we've reviewed games and kind of
we're actually
them or like weren't great on them.
We're actually
and
they
still
paid.
Say thank you.
Yeah, right. They want eyes.
Yeah,
but we're part of that PR firm that gets paid $50 to have a positive review on Rotten Tomatoes.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, you're not. That came out last week. That came out last week.
Rotten Tomatoes gets paid.
No, people who they were paying them to like adjust their Rotten Tomato score to be positive. It's
that happened in a board game community, like over the summer. Some guy.
It happens everywhere.
Some guy was like blackmailing a company, but he was like a big YouTuber, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know 100% what happened because it's been a while, but I think from what I remember is like he reviewed the game, trashed it, and was like, I'm gonna put this video out, and it's not great, but I'll redo the video more positive if you give me money." And it was an absurd amount.
Yeah,
and I'm like, you can make that much money doing YouTube? Like what? Like what? It's like, here we are, I'm buying games. But yeah, it's interesting. Like and that sparked a whole debate of like gift copies and being paid and it's harder to be mean, but I'm not going to give a game like a positive review just because I was gifted it.
Yeah, no,
like in that sense, it's hard. I don't know. It definitely makes it harder to be like, this game sucks.
You don't want to be brutal, but especially the people that are gifting us games, but you want to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, we don't want to steer our audience wrong.
Yeah.
And so it just all comes down to that.
Yeah. But my favorite episode, that's a tough one kind of to think about. I have moments here and there. Like definitely I loved our Fast and Furious with your friends, great. Like the movie review, like that one always kind of makes me laugh.
Shout out to them. They just got married too. It was beautiful.
Yeah. And like I just remember like me not knowing much about Fast and Furious, just trying to chime in. I'm like, they should do this. And they're like, wait, they did that.
They did. Yeah, no, that was good.
Yeah, top of my head, that's one of my favorites for sure.
I don't know either. Maybe Villainous because of how I popped.
Yeah,
actually the Star Wars episode we did recently was a lot of fun.
For deck builder.
Yeah, and then anytime Mickey pops up, it's always fun. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have a favorite.
Man, all of them, all my children,
all of them,
except for the April Fool's one.
Yeah, villainous. I'll say villainous.
Yeah. But that's kind of it. Just like I said, I just really want to thank anyone who's listening, whether you found us by accident, whether your friend or your family. Like it, I mean, my wife doesn't even listen, so it's just like,
same.
Yeah, like it's just the fact that you're giving time to kind of wasting time, because again, this is a joke, this is a stupid thing, but we
Us
love
having
it.
fun.
Yeah,
Us having fun.
so I just want to thank everybody, and hopefully you'll continue to listen for another 2.5 years, or
not
until we implode and just kind of stop one day.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Whenever.
Board
game grind never stops.
That's right. The FOMO, the hotness. But thank you, RP, for joining me on this 2.5 year endeavor, and for however long it goes. And if you enjoy
Bryan.
us here, as always, promote and previously record it. They have over 100 episodes. I think 4 of them are great because they're featuring me. There's about 5 mediocre episodes, and then the rest is just nonsense. But
yep.
No, it's all good. It's, if you enjoy movies and just pop culture, RP Bob do a great job over there. Shane there.
Yeah, he's there. We love him. He's there. He's just there for a good time.
Yep.
So, but thank you all for listening. We love you very much. Thank you, Bryan, for taking me on this journey with you as well. I love you. It's made us closer. It's awesome. And thank you to all our fans. Remember to check out the Redbubble and TeePublic store and our Instagram page. You can find us on Twitter, or you can find us on X. No, it's
X.
Twitter.
Give it to you.
And Facebook Threads, as well. And... Threads, Facebook, everywhere. And maybe one day on YouTube. But we'll see.
Who knows? Probably not. And also leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcast. We see the stats. We know a lot of you are listening through Apple. So 5 stars, leave a review if you're enjoying it. If you're not, don't leave a review. Just stay quiet. But anyway, thank you again to everyone, and
good night.
See you.